Right.
Man. So not to be biased, but I want to be biased. Okay.
You're so nice.
I think that hands down, we have the best food in Africa.
Okay.
I think it's palatable to.
All right, welcome to another episode of Diasporas. So I'm excited to be here with my good brother Umar. Umar is originally from Gambia, so
Yeah, man.
I'm really stoked to talk to you, bro. So bro, if you don't mind, just give me a little background about where you from. Like, what part of Gambia are you from?
Anyways, first I'm Umar, like you said, originally from the Gambia, and so we're from the North Bank Division, which is it's a place. So Gambia is technically a river, it's really just a river, right? We own a couple of miles of land on each side of a river.
Okay,
right? That's what
what Gambia is.
That's technically what the country is. Not to be derogatory, but that's the truth, right? The river is long, though, right? So
okay,
but pretty much the whole, almost the whole river, and the major parts of it are all, the surroundings of that river. That's Gambia. So the north part of that's where my parents come from. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And but by the time I was born, they had gone on studies. My parents, just like I'm here, just like I came here to study in the West, they went to England to study.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were my father was studying at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland.
Wow.
And then I was born there.
You were born in Scotland?
Yeah.
Hey, my brother, I didn't know that.
This guy. This guy.
I'm taking
That's
your African.
I'm not happy about that. I don't like that side. That's fact. But yes, that's the other side. That's the other side of me. But in as a kid, we came back to Gambia. My father is all about really being to your core African. Knowing knowing actually what we mean. What it means to be African, so he didn't want to live in the West at all, so I mean, he traveled basically my whole life right over there, but he brought us back to Africa until I got to be, like, when I was 17 years old, I left again, of course, to start the cycle again, of course, this is what you realize now, but yeah, so in that, we moved back to Gambia after his studies were done. After a little work there, we moved back.
How old were you at the time when you moved out to Gambia?
Actually, I'm not sure. I will ask.
Ask them.
Yeah, that's my mom. I don't know exactly how old I was.
And I have a joke real quick. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say you've lost most of your Scottish touch because I've never seen you drink Scotch or nothing.
Yeah, man.
You don't drink at all. You're the only Scottish non-drinker I've ever.
I'm sure there are things about Scotland that I will appreciate if I know the place, but I don't really know the place. It's not a place where
you haven't really visited since.
I haven't been visited as a grown up. I don't know the place.
Do you have an interest in going back there to just check it out?
Yeah. I do. Obviously, being here, your first mindset is always on Africa, so right. It takes away from all ideas of travel and whatnot. All ideas of empty exploration are kind of thrown out the window for. True. We got to go back to the motherland.
Right. You have
so that's what we're thinking of. But yeah, I do think about what it would be like to go see the city I was born in originally. Right. I left the place as a kid.
Right.
Maybe they owe me something.
Who knows, man?
Or maybe I owe them something.
Good this reparation.
So you don't know. You never know what help I could be of the. I could be to them, or they could be to me, or what I can learn from there. I do think about going there for higher education sometime. I think about that. It's a very good.
You have really good educational system in Scotland and in England.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, I have a question for you since I know you're from Gambia. So is Gambia inside of Senegal? Because it looks like that on the map.
Well, yes, technically it is on three sides. So on the north, the east, and the south side. On the west side, we have the Atlantic Ocean. Right. On all land borders, it is surrounded by Senegal. Yes. Yes. On the Atlantic side, that's where it doesn't have any neighbor.
On like the seaside, but it literally looked like it looked like a siege on the map. It looked like an embankment.
So it exactly like I was telling you about how it's the river. So the country is the Gambia, but the river is the Gambia River. Right. So in my eyes, it's technically like mostly about the river than about the land. And I mean that's not just say it's the official view of how it is over there.
Right.
That's not what I think people view it as. Right. But that's how I see it. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So now that since you're the first Gambian I have on the show, so I'm gonna take advantage. So what is the capital city of Gambia?
The capital city of Gambia is called Banjul.
Banjul.
Yeah.
Banjul. And what are the local dialects in Gambia?
In Gambia, I think we have about eight. Yeah, something like about 8.
Yeah.
And the biggest ones being Mandinka, Wolof, Fula, Jola, Serel, Sarahule. There's a lot of them are very different, but when you get further and the population gets smaller, they become kind of little cliques and dialects of another language for sure. Yeah, but the cultures are very similar because it's kind of an intertwined religion and culture system in Gambia. Everybody kind of has, whatever culture that's done is accepted by religion, or whatever religion that's practiced is accepted by culture. You see that kind of intermingled system because they have kind of an independent Islam and kind of an independent Christianity, with the populations that do, I mean, as it probably is in
Nigeria.
In Nigeria, they put their own culture inside of it. So yeah, that's.
Wow, that's interesting. So what do you guys get news in? Like, is it English the official language in Gambia, or what language it is?
Yes, officially English is the.
Wow, really? Oh, interesting. I have no idea. Yeah. I would have guessed French for some reason.
Oh no,
because of Senegal.
Yeah. So Gambia was colonized by the British, and Senegal was obviously colonized by the French. Yeah.
And Gambia is relatively a smaller country, right, compared to Senegal, right?
Oh yes, much smaller.
Much more smaller.
Yeah. Gambia is, I think, the second smallest inland country in Africa.
Do you think having Senegal super close to you guys, it's almost like you said, almost like intertwined? Is there a lot of cross, cultural exchange between you and Gambians and Senegalese?
It's basically the same people.
Yeah.
It's the same people, and we speak the same language. It's the same languages that I counted in Gambia are the same that are in Senegal.
Right.
Pretty much. It's just, I think, obviously the history of colonialization is what kind of gave us this, the map divide and the nationalism around that as well. Yeah, but beyond that, it's the same people, it's the same cultures, same everything. Yeah.
So what place do you think, like in Gambia, that people need to know about to visit?
Oh, just Gambia as a whole. Right. I mean, you just like there are certain places in Africa that you have to go to really experience Africa, right? And when you want to experience the beach life of Africa, the beach party life of Africa, then Gambia is that place where to go to, right? If you want to see the real smiling coast of Africa, where no matter what the person's problem is, his first reaction to you is going to be a smile. If you feel like getting that expression, right, Gambia is probably the best place to go.
I've not met anybody from Gambia that well, maybe again, I've met a handful, but you guys are always, like I said, very intelligent, smart people. It's weird. It's very interesting for how small it is, right? You know what I'm saying? But almost every Gambian I met, you guys are always just solid hard workers. And
I'm waiting for some athletes to come out.
they're almost athletes. I mean, I'm soccer players. Yeah, soccer players. Actually,
That's what I'm waiting for.
yeah, they're all athletes. Like my boy, Musa is from originally from Gambia, but he grew up in London. He played for England national team. I think like under 20 national team.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got athletes, bro.
Nice.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Okay, that's
you
good.
know?
That makes me proud. Now.
Yeah, I knew that your boy. Yeah. All right. So if I'm visiting Banjul, right, the capital city. Let's say I fly down there. What is the street food that I should get?
So first, I mean, in Gambia, the capital city is only important for you if you're doing any official activity.
Okay.
It's not a place to go to for anything else.
Okay.
You know, I haven't been there in a long time.
Okay.
But I'm connected with people over there.
Okay.
And then that the attitude towards the place is that it's literally the dump of the country. You know,
Really?
it's not it's the ugliest place in the country. You know, I mean, I hope the officials can hear
they can fix
it. Right? So we can be more proud of that island, because it's in reality it's an island by itself, and
Right.
it's very very it's pretty. It has a lot of potential. There's a lot of things that can be done with it, but you know, it's not being practiced.
So where should I fly to? And my question before is, what food am I getting on this? Right.
Man, so not to be biased, but
Can
I want to be biased. Okay.
You're so nice.
I think that hands down, we have the best food in Africa.
Okay.
I think it's palatable to everybody,
Okay.
right? So I think that's, you know, obviously when it comes to food, that's the thing. You know, you can say that your food is really good,
Okay.
but is it palatable to everybody? Can everybody eat it? Like, there are some things that I really love in Ethiopia, for example, right? Like injera. I like injera. It's amazing, right? But it's an acquired taste. You have
Right.
to get it. You have to try it twice or try it, you know, 3 times.
Multiple times, right?
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. So I was asking of like
You want a
street food.
specific?
Yeah, like
You want
give
a
an
specific
example.
meal?
Yeah, and stuff like someone. that
Okay,
doesn't
so
know.
we can go even get some if you want. Maybe this
No,
week.
no.
This week, but you can get Afra. Afra. When I was there, Afra was the best street food you can get.
What is Afra?
Afra is it's like a roast lamb, and you know they cook it in its own fats, and it's just roasted on a big grill. You
Is
know?
it kind of like a barbecue or kebab? Or something?
Technically it's barbecue, you know, but the way they do it, instead of on a grill, they do it on a pan, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a stir fried barbecue.
So what do you have with Afra? Or you just get Afra? What do you have with it on the street?
Man, I mean, just Afra by itself or bread, you know, it's what most people have it.
Just grab.
You know, have it with, and yeah, it's you know, it's something you can get around here in Washington State. You know,
Really?
there are Gambian stores that do that. So yeah, I would like.
Oh yeah,
I would actually
please.
love to take you.
I will please, man, take me.
Yeah, why
So
not?
what's the currency of Gambia?
Gambia uses dollars.
Dollars.
Yeah, today it's about 55 to the dollar.
That's really good. That's a good
What
economy.
do you mean that's good?
I mean, that's good. Well, Nigeria is like 500. You know, I'm comparing
Well-
to Nigeria in terms of inflation.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've all kind of did the same. You know, they've all done the same kind of thing. You know, yeah. There was a time when I was in Gambia, for example. There was a time where, before when I was much younger,
Yeah.
there was a time where £1 was five Gambian dollars.
Right.
Right, and now it's totally different.
Right.
So there was a time where a dollar was 21. Now it's, you know, it's 50.
Right. Okay. So if you have to describe, you know, Gambian people with one word for someone that's not familiar with your people, what word will you use?
In one word,
Yeah.
I would say kind. Yes, that if I was forced to say one word, yes, it
Right.
would be kind.
That'd be kind.
There's a reason why the place is called the Smiling Coast of Africa.
Smiling coast of Africa.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So you're talking about local dialects earlier, and thank you for, like, you know, going through the different types. So which one do you are you what tribe? Yeah, are you from in Gambia?
Well, okay, so I'm not from a tribe, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Mandinka, right?
Okay.
But that
Is it ethnic
obviously
group, we say?
obviously. Well, no, it's not an ethnic group,
Really?
right? So an ethnic group is obviously specific to a
Right.
kind of person,
Right.
and a tribe is specific to a kind of group of people, right?
Right.
So, but in Mandinka, I kind of I pick the Pan African path and say we are a nation, you know, and
I like
every other group in the country is a nation, because a tribe is only connected by a tribe, is connected by everything. They share the same
Right.
religion, same
Right.
beliefs, same all of this, same language, same all of that. But we don't share the same religions, just like you guys, the Igbo or the Yoruba.
Yeah.
Within the same language, they
Right.
don't share the same religion.
Oh yeah, that's
They don't share
different
the
version of
same ideas, right?
Right.
So that's technically not a tribe, right? We are beyond that. So yeah, there's a few nations there, there's a few nations, and as that, the biggest is the Mandinka. It kind of creates. I hate talking about this because it creates a huge problem even today. In all aspects, in equality, because personally, so like I'm from the Mandinka tribe in Gambia, who technically I say tribe, but because that's the way it's easier to explain, which is the Mandinka nation of people. We're huge all over West Africa, even in Nigeria, right? But divided by nation states, technocratic nation states, obviously, right? And then we don't see anything positive together. We only see things that are negative together. Like who's against us and who's not what we can do together, or So it's it's something that we need to dissipate with, And in Gambia, it's never been an issue. It's always been a source of strength and unity. Politicians have tried to use it but failed miserably. And it's recently it's been coming out more, where you sadly see people talk along those lines, and yeah, it's it's a sensitive topic to talk about, for sure.
Thank you for kind of like stirring us in a different part there to kind of see.
Well,
No, that was
I don't mean to.
No, I take that way because you have to keep expanding your knowledge. One of my friend when I visit Baltimore was showing me this documentary about Yoruba people, which is my tribe, on Netflix, and was talking about how there's Yoruba version in Brazil, and how I expanded my own tribe and culture. So it's very, what you're saying is interesting, and some people keep different part of their culture and they've morphed it into something different now. So I think that was an interesting point, that we have to see ourselves beyond tribe, because we're not tribe anymore.
No, we're not a tribe. I mean, I like you are Yoruba, for example, right? And you're here.
Right.
You know so many other Yorubas that live here.
Right.
They don't believe necessarily
the same thing, no.
with Joe Sixpack, who's sitting in the village in Nigeria somewhere, right?
But Joe Sixpack is not Nigeria.
But you know what I mean? But okay, the African version of Well, how do I say it? Anyhow, but you are all still Yoruba.
Right.
That doesn't take away from you being Yoruba.
Right.
But so we're not tribes. Let's build away from that idea slowly, I think.
Right. So you mentioned earlier though, you said you kind of took on your dad's path when you were 17. So what did you said you left home when you were talking earlier. So when did you went to when you were 17?
Oh, I mean, literally, I came to Washington State.
Before that, did you travel to anywhere else?
I mean, before that, so living in Gambia, I was in about eighth grade when abruptly we had to move out of the country. I'm still not specific on, why it had to be so, but it was, and we moved and we went to Ethiopia, and we started living in Ethiopia since around 2004, 2005, around that time. And I was there till about 2010 when I moved to the United States.
So like 5 years. You're
Yes,
5 years.
yeah,
before
yeah. I
you
did
moved.
about 6. Yeah, about
So
6
from like
years.
12.
Yeah, about 6
from 12
years.
to like just
Yeah,
17.
from 12 to 17, I
So
was in
how
Ethiopia.
was that? I was like going to a new country, and I'm assuming you don't speak their language either, right?
I mean, Ethiopia was amazing to me. You know, I mean,
Really?
yeah, Ethiopia was amazing to me. I had an amazing time in Ethiopia. I honestly, I don't have anything to complain about with my experience in Ethiopia.
What
You
was
know,
the
I
best
mean,
part of it? Is it the food? Is it the people? Is it the way of life?
well, I mean, in Ethiopia, it was just the amount of different and new experiences that I was coming across every single day. The amount of beauty and culture that I see and come across every day, you know. And as a kid, moving from West Africa to the East, it gives you the idea of how expanded we are, you know. The idea of how expanded we are. At that time, it used to take 18 hours to fly from Ethiopia, from outside in Gambia, and do all your connections to get to Ethiopia. You know, as a kid doing that long of a flight and seeing the expansion of how huge Africa really actually is, you know, and seeing the difference in culture. Because I mean, I thought I knew everything.
Right,
You know?
right.
You know? I thought I knew everything.
Your bubble was busted, bro.
Oh, big time! I mean, you go to Ethiopia, you find out that we're unique. You know, black people are not just what's in your side of the world, but you know, in Ethiopia, there's a real culture of original blackness, and there's, you know, yeah, there's just so much, so much power in you know, in that nation. It's just, and a lot of it, of course, I realized after I left the place. You know, I realized how much I love the place for sure. But I have no issues with Ethiopia. The beauty of the culture, the beauty of the people, it was fantastic for sure. Yeah.
Amazing, bro.
Yeah. It wasn't something I wanted to do, you know, because as a child, moving, right, to go to Ethiopia, right, it's something that media had not shown in any positive way in my whole life experience. Everything I had read about or known about or seen on TV about Ethiopia up until I actually went over there was all negative. Just children with flies on their faces, sitting on the streets with pot bellies, and just sequences away from dying. Just very short minutes away from dying. That's what we're talking about. You know, that's all I saw. That's, you know, about Ethiopia. So I kind of had I had a real fear when it was initiated. So I didn't really know we were leaving, and then we started leaving, and then it was, you know, like, what? Where are we going? You know. So I got there with that attitude, but then made friends really quickly, and they showed me the place. And honestly, yes, I love it. I would recommend anybody in the world. I personally believe that anybody who hasn't gone to Ethiopia hasn't seen Africa.
Addis, right? Addis Ababa?
Well, I mean, Addis Ababa is of course one city,
Right.
you know, but by itself it's beautiful. But there's, you know, of course, with Africa we cannot hold anything. You know.
You know, you pointed something very touchy there, because I personally hate that part too, because I notice a lot. I've stayed a little bit away from Nigerian movies since I got to America, because I want to enjoy new culture. But I've noticed that almost every time you've seen any Hollywood movies, when they're doing rescue mission, all this rescue mission, right? You know, rescue mission in Africa, right?
Say about
They're always showing you, like, you know, it's almost like Washington State has every city in America or every city in the world has the bad and the good part. And honestly, I've been trying to figure that in my head. It's like, why are the people that are negotiating to have our country shown in these movies not negotiating that if you're gonna show the village part of my city, can you just show this the downtown as well? Because I've seen, since I've been in America, and of course being here, I kind of make us research more about Africa. That one got me, bro. It's like, gee, I've seen more African cities on YouTube with like beautiful coastal cities, and it's interesting that you will watch a movie that will show you the same country, and they will never see that. They will never show that.
You see, it's not supposed to be fair, right? Only the guy, only the victim wants things to be fair, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
as long as we don't have any media power, right? We don't have any outlets of our own. You know, we are most of the entertainers in the world. That's obvious,
Right.
and they make money. Those entertainers, they make money. You know, even African entertainers, they make a lot of money these
Right.
days. They have the power, they have the utility. We have the manpower all over Africa, so that we can actually build big media platforms. I'm sure a lot of people are doing it, but it depends on what you do it for, right? If you're doing it for the money or if you're doing it under a mission. In America, they have business ideals, right? One that goes aligned with their patriotic needs or their patriotic ideals, right? Do we have that in those places, right? Like in Nigeria, Nollywood is huge, but is it helping with the Nigerian image
globally?
as what? Yeah, is it focused on that, or is it just focused on paying the directors and the producers and the shareholders?
We're too worried about
right?
the money part.
Exactly. So
I mean,
everybody.
but that's one of the things I learned here, and this is one of the motivations of creating these kind of platforms. Because with the angle of, even if we can strike one mind to think differently, or whoever want to listen, to us in that sense. Because when you live in America, you will see that if they, for example, when they are shooting a movie in Seattle. I mean, I don't know if these pacts are put in the contract or whatever. I just know it's no mistake that they're showcasing you the ferry. It's no mistake that they're showing you the Space Needle. It's not. It's like it's no. You will never see them show you the downtown homeless people. It's like, they don't go there and showcase you. Like that. They will show you, the image, right?
Of course.
And America is the best marketer in the world.
It's
are showing
advertised very
you.
well. Yeah.
They are so good.
It's advertised very well.
And I think, like, if we can just take a page out of that book and, like I said, please show them. Just stop showing the lady on the street. Please just show someone going to a bar, in any African city and having a good time. Or go watch the Champions League. Just please watch them go watch a game.
Just something normal that happens there every day. But,
we're normal people, man.
But like I said, it's not supposed to be fair.
It's not.
They're not. Yep. They're not. So mostly when we see those images, it's about some company, right, trying to raise money, either a profitable or non-profit company. I don't really care, right? It's all the same kind of idea, right? They're raising money. Right, so you go there. If you're advertising something, you have to advertise something that makes people feel sad, right? That's how they give you money. Right?
Okay.
And then if your advertising agency cannot bring money out of those videos or those films that they're putting out to the people,
okay,
you don't get any money. If you don't get any money, what happens?
So you're saying Africa is used in the sad part of the movie. It's not supposed to be the happy part.
I mean, it's all a part of.
You're just saying from your point of view. I'm not putting on.
Well, it's not about the movie thing. There was a lot of backlash against that, right? Now you see the Chinese doing that. Now there's a lot of backlash against Hollywood doing that. The white savior idea. They don't, in the best ones or the biggest movies were done, back in the day, for example, as far as I can remember. And if you can't remember Hollywood, it's not a good movie, right? It's nonsense. It doesn't even count, right?
Right.
So, but you see the Chinese having like Rambo-style movies where Rambo is going to save, instead of in Vietnam, he's going to Africa to save some people, doing some Rambo explosions and all this stuff, saving us, right? So it's not just a display. It wasn't just a display center for the West. Now it has become a display center for the East. So it is kind of it's sad, and obviously the Western NGOs is still there, right? When certain street things that they literally, in my opinion, promote. They come on the streets, give look at the poorest people they can find on the streets, right? and give them what they need to utilize themselves with, right? And then when they show up, when people see them, even regular folks are acting like they're now homeless folks, right? So it's there's a case on Vice. There's a case on Vice where you have a lady who used to do this as a volunteer coming out to say what she feels about the industry, and the industry is so big that she actually had to wear a mask on her face,
Just to talk about it.
Yeah, just to talk about it, just to express
Jeez.
what the NGOs and their connection to Africa, how it actually is.
No, yeah, I mean, it was Trevor Noah that kind of, really make a really good joke about one of those commercials when he was talking about, like, growing up in Africa, we are poor, but nobody, he doesn't know where to find those flies in this commercial that will stay there and those.
They don't even go
show-
anywhere.
He said, like, they don't go anywhere. He said we're poor, but at least we know how to do this. And it was
Trevor
just-
is pretty good.
It's so clever. It's just like, yeah, like, I mean,
He's got a
even
good
I
team.
mean, I'm not saying people are not poor back at home, but I don't see anybody that's just there with flies on their face and
No.
nobody's taking care of. Like, Africa is not a place like that at all. Africa is a place where people care for people. Everybody's helping everybody out. Someone is always helping somebody. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's a big place, right?
Right.
So anything is possible.
True.
Right?
That's a good fair point.
They find it, so it exists, manufactured or real. So there's a chance, right?
That's a chance, right?
The
That's a
possibility
good
is
point.
not zero, right? So there's a possibility, but at the same time,
You think it's sorted out. It's not like
Oh.
it's just like how easy they making it seems like. It's almost like you just
Oh,
walked
no.
out.
certainly, it is. Western media works in a very classic fashion, and of course the Chinese have picked up after them, right? If a dog bites a kid, right? As an example, that's not a big story. But if the kid bites a dog, it's a big story. Because it's the more strange event. It's the more unique event. It's the more it's the bigger conversation starter, right?
The weirder, the better.
The weirder, the better. So the more in this case too, the more shocking, the better. The more, if you're gonna do a thing about a war zone, the more active your packet video, the better.
See what
Right?
you're
The more
saying?
attention you're pulling to it, right?
Right.
That's the whole idea about showing the poor too. You're gonna go find the poorest person you can imagine or create. They're fulfilling a mission. That's what they want. But I think that personally, that too much attention is paid to these people. They're very small, right?
And they have all this power.
But because we give it to them,
Right.
because we give it to them, we don't actually realize that they're beggars, right? Most of them are beggars. They don't have industry.
I like how you're gonna break it down.
No, they are though. So and we don't realize that. They're
Yeah.
beggars that come to us who they beg money, right? That so far for the past since 1960 they've been coming to Africa. What has changed?
Nothing.
Right? Nothing has changed. Right? We have to pay for our own water all across the place. We're still struggling with electricity, right? We're still struggling with roads, right? If you're not helping us with these things, then you're really not helping. You're just maintaining a problem.
Well, I mean, I even think that's another thing too. Like, it's so complicated. Until you leave here, you don't understand. Because I didn't even know that some of those big companies that even give those money away to charity and all that are most using them for write-ups and all that. I mean, again, I don't care the intention. If it's helping someone out, I get it. But like you said, it's like it's just all super complicated issues, and it's not as simple or as generous. Because and I think it also comes down to values and ethics of being an African, right? I mean, I don't know. I think we all have this universal way, which is why we all kind of bonded when we all met. It's like when my mom gives someone something, my dad used to tell me that it's a proverb in Yoruba culture that when you give your left hand something, your right hand must not know. I think it was in the Bible too. I don't know if your left hand knows about what you give your right hand, you already record whatever blessings you're supposed to get from it. So it's like we don't give to expect. It's almost like how it's very common in our culture for like your uncle to give you money, or like your dad, some of your family just give you, like you're going to school, they're gonna give you something, and they're not really expecting anything back, or they're not really expecting anything hidden. They're just giving you that, and you just take that. And I think we Africans are so used to that of everything just being plain and honest conversation.
Yeah.
You know?
Like we don't get real enough about it. We stay in the shadows about it, right?
Do you think it's because of that white complex of like white trust? It's almost like someone white we trust them, but if it's someone like our color, we kind of more.
No, I mean, of course. So maybe let me try. Maybe a harsh example, but if somebody kills a child's parents, right, and then comes back and gives the child candy, what does the child do? Does the child take the candy, or does the child not take the candy? Because the child doesn't have any parents to buy the child candy anymore. The child has no power to hurt or revenge on this grown up who just took out his parents. Right? So African states are in that condition. Right? Somebody took out their parents, and now they're coming down to give them candy. What would you do?
What would you do? That's a good question.
That's the question, right? And I mean,
that's the question.
A lot of the times, the candy is basic medicines, right? They refuse to give you the things that you need to actually build an actual economy. You know, and everything is blamed on corruption. But where are these billionaires that we're talking about? Other than Nigeria, where are the billionaires?
Yeah. I mean, even the billionaires in Nigeria.
Let's be real.
Well, I mean, like how much are they can they really affect?
What are they really worth? This is actually physical stuff that they actually grew. That we actually valuing. We're not talking about cash that they're stealing from the system. No, none of them are doing that.
Right.
I mean, nobody's proving it. Where is it? They're not doing that. It's not corruption. The money is just not there.
It's just not there. The infrastructure, like I said, it's like the infrastructure is just not there.
It's not there. The resources are there for sure.
Right. But someone took the resources too, right? Someone took the resources, right?
Well, you can say that somebody profited from the resources more than we already did, and somebody still profits from the resources more than we do. You know, yeah, for sure. You know, like sadly, it's just how Africa works. You know, we have serious problems in Nigeria. We have serious problems all across. In finding basic energy that Nigeria itself produces, for example. Basic petroleum energy that Nigeria produces, right?
Yeah.
But it's not fulfilling that for us. Right?
No,
but
there's scarcity all the time.
Every time. It's not fulfilling that, yet it's the fourth largest producer on the planet.
On the planet. You would think we have SS.
Now it's laying pipelines to go take that to Europe.
Yeah. And they will sell it and they will,
what are we doing? The
Yeah.
African energy issue is not done with. The money control is not fixed in the country. How you guys spend money, you haven't even gotten a hold of it yet. Right. We don't even know where the money goes yet. Nobody knows. No transparency. Right. No, you're just trying to sell more stuff. You're not fixing what the problem we have right now.
It's like an arrow. It does like a plane that mid-air. The windows are breaking and people are like trying to get like a tape, just kind of tip it and just hold.
You're trying to fix it mid-air. Yeah, you're trying to fix it mid-air, like something.
Trying to troubleshoot.
Okay about
yeah,
more money doesn't solve the problem.
No,
ever.
Never.
It never solves the problem. No,
never. All right, so let me segue real quick. So, can you remember the first time you heard about America? Were you in Ethiopia or were you still in Gambia when you first have your first, at least, introduction to the concept of America?
Man, I don't remember when I heard about America. Coming here, literally, I had a girlfriend in Ethiopia.
Right.
And she, my ex-girlfriend over there, I wanted to go somewhere. I wasn't sure, but at that time I had gotten to school in Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City, and I got into school. Well, this is after high school. I don't really remember how I got to the point of even desiring America.
Really?
But I think that it has to do a lot with her.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think that most of the reason why I actually probably the reason why I came here, I think it's her. Yeah. Yeah. In the first place. Yeah. Because we came here together, kind of.
Really?
Yeah, so that was the idea. Yeah.
Kind of like a high school sweater kind of type deal.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so once you get here, I think that's kind of one of the things I want to get to is that what was the greatest misconception about America that until you got here, then
what I did not know?
Yeah, almost like what you didn't know until you got here. From your experience.
Well, I think It's about how literally how hard it is to actually live here. Yeah.
In what way?
Yeah. Well, for example, the lack of maybe this is because of the fact that we don't have the foundation here, because obviously if you have a family background somewhere, which I didn't have when I got here, I didn't know anybody, right? That's how most of us are thrown in here, right?
Right.
So you don't know anybody, you throw yourself in here and you don't have a backup, right? So it's not like you're not able to do it physically, you're not able to do it, you're able to do the responsibility. It's just like, what if, it's
Right.
that what if that goes around your head. I'm sure
Yeah,
you have the same feeling.
I'm with you,
So
bro.
what if,
I'm with you.
like, what if I can't do this month's rent, right? Am I gonna be calling dad?
Oh,
what,
yeah.
what if what's gonna happen? What kind of cry am I gonna have now? Like what kind of problems am I gonna be dealing with?
When can I go home?
Yeah.
Yeah, big questions,
Yeah.
bro.
And then you get to you have plans before you come here, right? But at least I did. I had big plans when I come here. When I was coming here, about what I would do when I get here. And then you get here with the reality of what it is here, and then a lot of plans have to adjust. Because the reality of where you built that plan is not the same reality that we're dealing with right now. You are in a totally different country, right? The system is totally different from. I know it doesn't matter anywhere in Africa you come from. Coming into the United States, you have to literally relearn everything.
Right.
You have to. It doesn't matter what condition you're living in. In even most countries around the world. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. The work system, the corporate system, the school system, whatever you want to go through, you have to change a lot of things. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot of changes you have to be.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of like, it's almost like, yeah, from most people that I've talked to here on the podcast, I've kind of shared similar things, but I think the way you were saying it is like, it's almost meant like it's not meant for you to survive. I felt like when I got here, I felt like the system was not made for me.
Because it wasn't made for what you were taught. You were taught for
Right.
a different system. That's
Yeah.
what I was trying to get to. Right?
Yeah.
So when you get dropped into a different system, you cannot even define necessarily what
Yeah.
it is.
Right? Yeah. You're just yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's different. First you're America, especially at the time that we came here. Of course, like 10 years is leaps and bounds, even in
Bro.
America, right? Even right, and the places that depending on where you go, right, and depending on how liberal or how not to say conservative or how closed in that
area.
that area is. If they are too closed into different cultures, then you have a problem of not a physical safety issue necessarily, because I think that's a very minor issue. We just have that in our heads, but that never happens. I've never even heard of it, right? Literally, there are a few black swan incidents and stuff, but beyond that, I think it just carries weight, based on where you go, based on what kind of people you hang around with, what you hear is very important, because when you're new somewhere and you hear that somebody just like you in your condition, which is information that you need to know this information.
Yes, sir.
What happens to people around you that are
Yes,
like
sir.
you, right? If you hear that something negative happens to them,
Yes, sir.
your body will internalize that for your own safety, and then it will become something, And we came at a time where it's a lot of police brutality being publicized. It's not nothing new, just being more active in social media and in the media in general. The conversation started coming out more and more, since we came out here, which is basically Obama's time.
Right.
Obama's time is when we started having more of these deeper conversations about what's going on, in the current times.
Yeah, I think that have always happened though. I thought the explosion of iPhones, Instagram, people being able to post and report in like things quickly.
Yeah.
There's no middleman, like, because I would tell you this. St. John said this, and I think it's one of the best words I've ever heard. He said, "Anything we see now, we've been here before." We're just seeing it through a different lens.
Yeah.
These things have been happening for a long time. It's just that back then it's just easier to hide, but like now there's nowhere to hide.
No, it's public.
So it's all public. But yeah, I think just to kind of like reiterate what you're saying, so that way listeners can kind of follow along. It's like what you're trying to explain is that once you get here, the pressure of not just like, oh, I'm a student, right? I'm assuming you come as a student, right? You're not just a student. You're learning new culture. You're figuring out how you're gonna survive. Now, all of a sudden, you also hearing things happening to people like you in the same similar situation. You're internalizing all these things. You're figuring out, how am I gonna get home? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to go back? The school's giving you school fees. You're having all this pressure. I mean, let's say even just that, and the ridiculous amount of how expensive international student fees are.
What they do to us?
It's not even meant for, like, I don't even know how some people afford it, like from other countries, but Africans, especially with all the subsidies and all the inflations that we dealt with, it's almost impossible for an African to come to school here. Like, people don't realize that.
One thing is, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all.
No. Technically, it makes no sense. If unless you come from the richest family, even in that case, right? It makes absolutely no sense. We all kind of did it to kind of fetch a better life. Of course, this is what everybody wants, and in many cases, maybe you're successful, or maybe you have the appearance of that success. It looks like that. You're okay, but let's put it this way: you could either be in Africa, right? Work to build the place. Spend your youth and your energy in Africa, which is what most of us, I think, at a certain point realize that we should have done, or we should do, right? And it's not anything else but just you'll be 55, for example, in the West, having completed everything you wanted, but today that means that you would be in $500,000 worth of student debt. You would be in a consistent 9 to 5. Maybe you'll be able to retire at 55, greatly. But it's not a system that we are built to do. It's not. You're gonna go to work every day of your life for the rest of your life without being able to control or define what your goals are. Your goals will always be behind something, right? And when it comes to, this is strictly when it comes to somebody who's a career builder, who's thinking in a career sense, right? But there are other people who are, it's good for them to come here, not the studying kind, but the business minded kind, right? Now, that person's biggest problem was probably going to be their path here, right? But because it takes a lot of money on the business aspect. But if you can either open a business where you are and have that business send you here to do business here, right, where you can do it that way, right? Now, that's probably the best. Even if you're just doing a little startup in your country, you don't have anything major to sell or anything, but you just started something and you want to expand it, you want to find some research information, you want to grow that. Then I encourage people. I wish when I was younger, before I came here, I wish somebody told me, hey, go sell some plastic, trinkets, right? I would have sold some plastic trinkets in Africa, found them anyhow I could, right? Either from a source or from a wholesaler or from a buyer or whatever. Just do what I can to understand, not to make money, but to understand how that market works. And I would do that under my own company. Right. And with that, I would propel myself. Right. This is obviously a lot easier said than done. But let's be real. We've seen people do it there. Right.
We've seen that more now.
We've seen that more and more.
YouTube pages of people leaving West, going back home, establishing their businesses, and be successful.
And even people living there. Even people who are from there, people who live in Africa without leaving the place, right? They build something for themselves. It's all about the amount of confidence you have. It's all about the amount of, because if you cannot make it there, you really will not make it here.
Preach.
Right?
If you cannot make it there, you really will not make it here. It's only the same struggle that continues. I mean, we see it all the time. If you have bad habits, they will not change because you change the location. They will only get worse. It's a vice center. But if you have good habits too, they will only get better here too. They will only profit you more. That's the other side of the coin, right? Everything you do in America, it will pay you better. That's for sure. There is no looking around about that.
Well, you just said, you said it's a vice center. Anything you want, you can have it more here.
That's right.
Everything is on steroids here.
Yeah.
Everything. If you want to watch
Everything.
Netflix,
Absolutely.
there's electricity here 24/7.
Absolutely.
You can do whatever.
Absolutely.
Also, I'm going to expand a little bit on what you said earlier. You were saying, you think, like the system here of like an example you gave of someone working to 55 and still having 9 to 5. Do you think you were thinking in that way because if we go back to values and maybe like ethics and values of most Africans, it's mostly family based and creating family wealth and being around that family and enjoying it together, where the West and Americans is more about individual success and I think that's probably why what you were saying, like, you know, I think about it sometimes, like, you know, honestly, I don't think, I'm not saying I'm not grateful for every opportunity I've been here. I've definitely done more by being here, but I sometimes wonder, you know, the cost of like not being able to see my younger brother for 10 years, you know, if, like you said, if I've started something in Africa or Nigeria and maybe it hasn't been as successful, but I would take being around my mom and my brothers and having that company over being here and not being able to see them for 10 years. Do you get what I'm saying though? I think
feel that.
I think to me that just worked more for me. Does that make sense? Like being around my own people, because I think that's what, and this is one of the things that I've been trying to highlight in this podcast is to really give people that clear and honest opinion of when you're coming here, know that you might not go home for a long time. And I'm not saying like you might say yes, I don't care, whatever. Yeah, I get it. A year or two is cool. I've been here 10 years, man. I know what I'm talking about. Nigeria is starting to look like Vegas to me because I've not been home so long, and you know the idea of home is it's like
it's a distant light basically.
it sounds like the lights at the end of the tunnel for you, but it shouldn't be like that because that's your home. Like there's nothing here that American will offer you. There's nothing here that will ever be like home because that's your home.
That's just a fact. But I mean, if you come from like poverty, like we do, basically, right? That's basically where we come from, right? We grew up seeing what is poverty, right? Even if we didn't really suffer in any way, right? Yeah. We have all internalized that Africa is poor, right? So I mean, when you look back, what do we really miss? Right, in reality, for a lot of us, right? But then you think that you always think that something is different, right? And America has this value power over everybody, right? Everybody thinks that it's better in the West. It's always better in the West. You know, that's how it's portrayed. Many things are, don't get me wrong, but to change from an African system, African student, if you are deciding to come in, study, and go back and help out, then that's good. But at the same time, in that case, study there, because the amount of money that you will be spending here,
you're already gonna be in debt.
If they're giving it to you for free, then that's right.
Which is a good point, and I think I'm sorry, I'm gonna interject right there, which is what I just learned from the last podcast I did with a guy from Richard. He's from Kenya. He did a running style. I didn't even know you can do exchange program where you can come here as a student, and that is for free. That's actually paid for. It's an exchange program, which again maybe we can put that out there now. If someone wants to come here and get a little experience, just make sure you come here during your high school years. You can apply for a visa from any African country, come to America, get an exchange experience, go back home legally. You have that experience now. If you know what it's like, then you can have if I have to do it again, I think I'll probably would prefer to go that route, because again, it's all you have to do is find an host parent or maybe find someone that you know that's here, and you can come here maybe for 5 years out of your 10 years of high school life, have an experience, see what it's like, and then go back home, and then you can decide.
At this point, of course, travel is important, experience out of mom's house is very important. But Africa is big. You know,
So you wouldn't even suggest the West?
I wouldn't.
I like that. I like that.
No,
I really
mean,
like that, bro.
No. I mean, it's society's peak, right? Society's peak, and like for example, there's a good example I saw not even too long ago, like just this morning, right? It's about girls and boys soccer, right? You know, girls football, right?
Huh?
Girls football is becoming big,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Men's football is already big.
Right.
Which one would you invest in if I gave you $100 million?
I'll probably go with the woman because it's just starting up.
Exactly. There's nothing there.
Right.
I can bring that up to big money,
Right.
right? Then there's a lot of profit there.
Right.
This is the same analogy with the West and Africa. Africa is like the girls' football right now. You invest your time in it, your growth potential is higher. The people who stayed in China, for example, like the diaspora of China versus the Chinese the Chinese businessmen who stayed when China was going through its 20-year growth spurt from the mid 90s to the mid 2000s. They're billionaires,
Right.
literally. They saw the biggest growth in human history, and I think India will beat that next, and Africa is most likely to beat it again. It's most likely to beat it after that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you strengthen yourself back home, right? Because it's all about foundation, no matter what it is. Even if you wanted to do a business, if you come here to open a business, it's gonna take just as long as your business back
Right.
home would have taken to make you money.
Right.
It's all about how you think about it.
Right.
If you think one other place is better, you know, I mean, of course, I would rather go to heaven, right?
Right.
It's better.
Right. I hope there's AC in heaven, bro. I hope it's cooler out there. Yeah. Yeah, but that's interesting, bro. Thank you for really, sharing all that. So I guess what I'm gonna ask next is like, what do you think your experience here, which has been over a decade, what are the important things that you think you kind of gain from your experience of being in America?
Honestly, I consider myself a Pan-African
Okay.
to the core, and it's ironic that I am not in Africa, and but at the same time, I feel as if it gives you another view of how we should be growing Africa. You know,
Right.
not the right way. You know, but it teaches us what not to do. It doesn't tell us what to do. It tells us everything not to do in Africa. Yes. Because when you look at it, we have the same amount of kind of diversity. You know, almost. You know, they don't come close, but it is nearly there. Right. It is a collection of, you would say, white people. Right. We are a collection of majority black people.
Right.
Right. This is how America and Africa's differences are. Right. So in order for us to collectively do anything together, right, it would require a lot of change. It would require a lot of change for sure.
If you get to talk to your 10-year-old self, what advices will you give him?
My 10-year-old self.
I'm saying you 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, like we met you 10 years ago. I'm assuming around where you just got to America.
I would say buy Bitcoin. I'd say please, bro, buy a lot of Bitcoin.
That's a good one, bro. Let's get us rich, bro. That's a good one, bro.
That's what I would say.
Say less. All right, man, bro. I appreciate you so much, man, for doing this, man.
Yes,
Yo,
man.
Thank you so much, my G.
You're
That's
welcome.
it, man.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.